Hey buddy, Jim from Jim's Coleus is checking in. All right, getting close. I think next week, or maybe at the end of this week, I'm gonna move everything out to the greenhouse. Here I am in my living room. I have a pretty large family room that has lots of windows. And when I designed this addition actually myself, I'm not an architect, but I designed it and then I had an architect fine tune it. But I wanted a big open airy room with lots of light. And so I brought my Coleus out here on the table and we're gonna go check on them first. Also, just wanted to check in on our cuttings. How are your cutting? I just changed the water on them. Soon they'll be going out in my pots. So I have to really look at what I have and decide what I want to do. I have some inky fingers. I have some fishnet stockings. I have a Saturn rings and some Lord Voldemort cuttings rather that I've had from the mother plant from years and years ago, and I was never able to get enough seeds. I think I grew one from seed last year, but we're gonna decide. And I actually put one rooting. Sorry, I keep going back to rootings. One cutting out as a test just to see how it's doing. But I don't want to put them out just yet. But I just put one out and put it in one of my larger planters just as a test to see how it does, because it's been pretty warm. It's in the 60s, a couple of overnight temps in the upper 40s, but it looks like it's pretty good. So just a little tester. But I'm going to show you really quick the Coleus, how they're doing, how yours are doing, and also how the cuttings are doing. And I hope your cuttings are doing well too. These are cuttings from last year. And again, I keep them going by frequently changing the water. And by the way, I don't know if I ever introduced to you my cat, Maximus. Maximus is about 12 years old. He's a real piece of work. He loves his cat tree. And there's his sister, Ruby. We got them at the same time, obviously. So it's quite a zoo here. Max actually, he does go outside. Just hangs out in the backyard. So anyway, this is a nice bright room, as I had mentioned. I keep some rootings over there. I have a few rootings, 2, 4, 6. And on to, as you can see, I have my clementine tree here, getting lots of light. I have this cactus. And this is one of those little tiny cactuses you buy at Lowe's or Home Depot. It was a tiny little thing. It was like, what, an inch long in a little cup. And my God, it's 20 years old, I guess. It just keeps getting bigger and bigger. And I give it water every once in a while. And of course, the Boston fern. I just trimmed it. There was a lot of dead leaves. It'll come back. I had it out in the rain the other day. It loves that. And it'll start coming back. So Max is trying to decide whether or not he wants to go out or not. There he goes. It's a little chilly out today. A day in the life of Maximus, the cat. Okay, so here are some. I have about 8, 9 trays here. 9 trays, and I have 4 in the other room we'll get to. But it's a nice, bright, open, light area here. So this is sort of like the next step before I bring them outside. I'm not going to do that today. Maybe the end of the week. We'll bring them out into the greenhouse, and then we'll hook up the heater just in case we get a cool night. But I just really wanted to get them set in these pots. I don't want to bring them out too soon because they are still pretty young. And I mentioned these are very slow, but they are growing. They're just really reacting to the longer days and the more intense sun. But I have a lot of good, nice color. Every one is a little different. Look at that pink. That's going to be fabulous. And that white there. And I already have an idea where those are going. And this is what I like to do as they get progress and they grow. Then they start getting their true leaves, and interesting features is those jitters. Remember what I said in the last video? Jitters have a thin coloration up the center axis as opposed to the wide color in the center on these here. Lots of beautiful color. At this point, I'm not using the liquid fertilizer. This has the Miracle-Gro potting mixture, worm castings, and time-release fertilizer pellets mixed in. I water them every few days, if that. Sometimes 3 days I will go by. It's best to underwater because, again, this is moisture-controlled potting mixture, so I don't have to water nearly as much. And how you can tell if you're overwatering is if your coleus start to look a little washed out. They start to yellow. Then you know you're watering them too much. So just skip a few days. It's best to be conservative with your water, especially if you're using the Miracle-Gro moisture soil. Just dig down, and if it feels moist, it is moist. Then you know you still have a good day or two. Of course, if these are sitting in the sun, also get to know what they feel the weight is when they're watered well, because then once they start to dry out a little bit, you know, like whoa, this definitely needs water. So that's how I do a combination and experience. Lots of nice variety. At this point, light, no direct beating sun. It's too cool out today for me to put them out to harden them. In the past, I've made that mistake where I put them out when it's a bit too cool. It's a little breezy out there, and it just burned the leaves because they're just too tender. So again, as I mentioned, patience. Here's an interesting one. I'm not sure quite if that's a fishnet or what. And you see any dead leaves that fall off, which is natural. Any kind of debris, just throw it off. You may lose one or two. I think I lost one in this pot. Again, these were all planted at different times, so they're not all the same size as I had mentioned here. Here is one of the later Coleus, and I still have another tray, Jiffy Pod tray, which I'm going to show you in a minute. It's a colossal marble. There's a Kong. It's more like a Kong red. That's interesting. There's another colossal marble. And here's that overwintered colossal marble. Just a beautiful variation. So in this, I still have to decide what I want to do in this. This is in the original pot from last year. So we'll decide what we're going to put that in. Some really tiny ones. Again, these are really slow, but they're coming in. Looks like Maximus wants to come in. It's a little too chilly out. Come on in, tough guy. Okay. So at this point, if you're at this point, you're doing something similar. Light, as much bright daylight as you can. Supplement with grow lights if you have them. Watch your water. Time release fertilizer pellets is the easiest thing to do. And once I get these outside and they're grown a little more, once I'm out in the greenhouse and they're larger, then I'm going to switch to the Miracle Grow liquid fertilizer, or the powder that I mix into water, because that really feeds well. It gets into the nooks and crannies. It gets all of the roots really, and it really kickstarts the growth. It really makes a big difference. So let's get a nice little back shot of all these, just to give you an idea of that bright light. I originally had planned to have windows like this all the way around, but on that side is my neighbor and the hedges and a fence, and the architect says, do you really want to look at that? So why don't we just put these picture Anderson windows in, and you put some plants up here. And again, I have these my Saturn rings. And so I keep rootings as to Lord Voldemort's. So I keep my cuttings up there. But lots of light. Very important. Light, warmth, and moisture. And I have a fan going. And that's important as well. So if you have any questions, just leave a comment or follow me over on Instagram. You can keep in touch with me as a through the season. Look at that red. That's interesting. You know, I don't really focus so much on what type of Coleus it is. I mean, I grow so many, and I do organize them when I grow them, when I do sow the seeds. But after a while, I mix them up, and I really, I know what they are for the most part. I just enjoy them. There are so many varieties. There's some people who leave messages, which is fine, about my eBay, the seeds that I sell. And, you know, they ask, do I have rustics, or do I have a certain type of Coleus? And there are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of varieties. And I couldn't possibly sell all the seeds, and many are still patented and they're not legal to sell. So I don't sell, and I couldn't keep all of those seeds. I don't have the time. And so I only sell, when I do list my Coleus seeds, it's Jim's Coleus on eBay. I don't have anything active, but I do sell only legal to propagate Coleus seeds, like the Kong varieties, the Jitters, Darth Vader, which are very difficult. I don't know if I'm going to have them next year. This year, I didn't even grow any Darth Vaders this year. Just too difficult. But I only sell legal to propagate Coleus seeds, colossal marble, and so forth. Okay, so now here's some rootings. I keep saying rootings, cuttings. I just changed the water on them. Let's get some light on the subject here. I just changed the water, gently rinse the root ball. Here's a Saturn rings. Lord Voldemort. And I have 3 inky fingers. And I have 2 fishnets. And again, these will go outside as soon as I really decide which planter to put them in. Of course, I'm going to put the inky fingers all together and make one big giant inky fingers. And I'm going to make just one fishnet stockings. and then one Lord Voldemort. I have two other cuttings in the other room, and we're going to separate all of those. I'm going to try to get seeds from them. The Inky Fingers last year, tried and tried, but I couldn't get any seeds from them, so I kept a lot of rootings. And again, same thing, fishnets, really difficult to get seeds from. And some of the seeds that I got were just, although they seemed mature, they just didn't germinate. So I can't control that. I mean, I let them sit, and just like the others, and mature, flower, get pollinated, and I had very, very few germinate. I don't even think I planted any this year, because I do get the rootings. So here's a few more trays. Now these are separated because I grew these. There's 50 Coleus here. I grew these. These are being donated to the American Cancer Society. So I agreed to grow 50 Coleus for them. They have a walk coming up in the middle of May. So I have these 50 Coleus set aside for them. And I have the trays marked with my sticker so I remember which ones are for the American Cancer Society. And these are some of the larger ones, because by May I hope to have a nice size Coleus for people. And there's 3 pepper plants. I didn't grow a lot of peppers this year. 3's enough. Once they grow, there'll be plenty of peppers. So, and there's a little colossal marl. That's actually just a stem that broke off of the other one. I didn't want to throw it out, so I just potted it real quick. That'll be a fabulous plant. Just remember this for in future videos. Okay, and here is that final tray. You can see they're really coming in now. I have some basil. I have my Terranias, my different type of colored and bluebell Terranias. Some mosaics, some jitters, because I can never have enough jitters. And as I had mentioned in my earlier video, I always, not always, but I do buy on occasion I'll buy a rainbow mix burpee pack of Coleus seeds and just plant them, and because you never know what they're going to include. So I always try to every few years plant a few extra burpee Coleus seed packs to see what comes up, because you never know what they're going to throw in there. Yeah, that one's really overseeded, so I picked out a lot of them. I thinned them out, but these are going to be ready to separate soon. So we're giving them lots and lots. As you can see, we're really giving them lots of light. They're a little leggy, so how you handle leggy germinations like this is legginess means they're looking for light. They're searching for light. They're reaching for light. So that's how you handle leggy Coleus seedlings, or leggy Coleus in general. If they're very, very thin and lanky, leggy means they're looking for light. There's not enough light. So if you have a potted Coleus and it seems leggy like this, increase the light. Maybe move it to a place that gets a little more sun. Doesn't mean that it's unhealthy or anything, but that's how leggy Coleus, that's why your Coleus may become leggy. All right, everybody, so this is my weekly update. I'll try to shoot out a video at least every week, give or take. I expect my next video, hopefully, will be out in the greenhouse. And I'll just show you the ceramic disc furnace that I used on a timer. Nice and safe, and make sure the Coleus stay nice and warm on nights that maybe drop down to the upper 40s. I'm looking at the long range forecast, but generally every year I move everything out till first week of May. So we're looking at the forecast, but I really want to get them out there because that's when the magic happens. Is when I can really start to get these jump started. I'm always looking forward to the farmers market in Bayhead. So I want to get these outside, but We want to be careful and not impatient and get them out too soon, because we don't want to damage them and set us back, which has happened in the past, as you know, if you've been following along. So, all right, so stay tuned, more to come. Take care of your Coleus. Any questions, you know I'm here. Just leave a comment here or on Instagram, and we'll see you soon. Take care.